This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Man killed in Dunbars, RiverIdentified. The police have identified the man that was chased and killed by unknown assailants at a yard at Dunbars River in Savannah Lamar, Westmoreland on Thursday morning. The deceased has been identified as 35-year-old O'Dane Wilson, otherwise known as Bug. Wilson was unemployed off Barracks Road in Savannah Lamar. Reports are that Wilson was among a group of people working on a motor car shortly after 10 a.m. when a motorcycle drove up with two men on board. The pillion disembarked, pulled a firearm, and opened a gunfire at Wilson, who ran and was chased by the gunmen, who caught up to him and shot him several times. The gunmen then escaped on the motorcycle in the direction of Smith Field in the parish. The police were summoned, and upon their arrival, Wilson was seen lying on the ground with multiple gunshot wounds to the head and upper body. He was taken to the Savannah Lamar Public General Hospital. Taxi operator shot and killed in downtown Kingston. The police are investigating the fatal shooting of a taxi operator along East Queen Street, Kingston, Thursday afternoon. The taxi operator, whose name has not been released, was driving along Windward Road when he was shot by unknown assailants about 3:45 p.m. He attempted to drive away but crashed along East Queen Street. It is not known whether any passengers were inside the vehicle at the time of the shooting. The taxi operator plied the Windward Road to downtown Kingston route. He is the second taxi operator to be killed in that section of Kingston in less than a week. Some principals are worried about implementation of Sixth Form Pathways program. With 2 weeks to go before the official start of the new school year, some principals have expressed the view that there will be major challenges with the implementation with the mandatory Sixth Form Pathways program. The Sixth Form Pathways is part of the Ministry of Education's implementation of a 7-year high school program. It allows for students who complete grade 11 to enroll in the program and pursue a 2-year course with alternative opportunities alongside the traditional Sixth Form curriculum. But Linton Weir, principal of Old Harbor High School, has said it will be extremely difficult to find a space to accommodate students who will transition into the program.
Last year when the program was introduced at Old Harbor High School, we only received one Dega teacher. So here it is, you're asking us to take on a program with a repeat of our grade 11 students. And here at Old Harbor High School, we have a total of 500 students. And we're talking about the 3 different pathways. We can take 150 students in pathway 1, but the 350 students that remain, we will not be able to absorb them any at all. We will not be able to absorb them because we don't have the space to absorb them. And 2, we don't have the teacher personnel to absorb them. If you look at the ratio for teacher and student, the Ministry of Education would have put forward that the ratio is 1 in 25 if you don't have a sixth form program. But if you have a sixth form program, it's 1 in 20. Now that you're putting in 500 additional students in the space, tell me how the math work for you to give us one teacher to impart education to 500 students.
Raymond Treasure, principal of York Castle High School, said his institution can only accommodate 150 of the 225 grade 11 students who will return.
What this program has done, to be honest with you, and as I say, it's not a bad program, but what it has done, to an extent, if you were to speak to some of the colleges, they will tell you that their enrollment has been reduced because of this compulsory program. And the reality is most high schools in Jamaica don't have the capacity to offer it in a meaningful way because we don't have the teachers, we don't have the facilities. So when you ask a student to stay behind for 2 additional years, to do some subjects, to be honest with you, that will not necessarily take them anywhere. When by right you should have encouraged them to go after or come college, you would have kept them behind just to do the subjects that you are able to offer.
However, a principal of Mona High, Kevin Jones, is in full support of the Sixth Form Pathways program, which he believes will create well-rounded students. Mr. Jones said schools should implement the program, monitor and document how it functions, and provide feedback to the ministry so the necessary adjustments can be made over time.
I believe that we should go ahead and implement the program. We monitor the program, we make our documentation, and we provide feedback to the ministry, and we make the necessary adjustments as time progresses. It's alternative to students not going to high school or continuing high school after grade 11 when we have upward of 60% of them leaving without any sort of marketable skill or 5 or more C-Tech subjects? What's the alternative?
Compensation likely after Jamaican farm worker killed in Canada. The family of Garvin Yap, the Jamaican farm worker who was fatally injured while operating tobacco harvesting equipment in Ontario, Canada, may be entitled to compensation. Yap was employed under the Seasonal Agricultural Workers Program, which gives Jamaicans the opportunity to work on farms in the United States and Canada. The 57-year-old from Tangle River District in St. James worked for the Van Burle family on Burle's Besta farm in Norfolk County. Colette Roberts-Risden, permanent secretary in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, said that the nature of Yap's death may merit compensation. Normally, in a situation like that, the worker does receive some form of compensation. I can't tell you what it is, the permanent secretary told the news on Tuesday. Attempts by the news to contact the Van Burle family have been unsuccessful. Roberts-Risden said that if Yap has children under the age of 18 years old, they would receive a monthly allowance until they reach adulthood. Additionally, if any of his children are in university, they would be gifted a monthly allowance until age 21, she said. Roberts-Risden noted, however, that she could not comment on the quantum of compensation or a timeline for its issuance. The government of Jamaica has made contact with Yap's employer and other workers at the Canadian farm through its liaison service. The employer is actually deeply devastated because this is a worker that the employer, whenever he visits Jamaica, would occasionally stay at this worker's house. So that tells you that this worker was almost, I would say, more than an ordinary worker to the employer, she said. A vigil was held last week Thursday, Roberts-Risden confirmed, adding that Canada-based representatives from the Labour Ministry were also in attendance. Yap's death is still under investigation by Canadian government authorities. Education Minister's plan to move away from bursar-paid schools sparks uproar. A major showdown is looming between the Ministry of Education and the school bursars across the island. Education Minister Favour Williams has sparked a firestorm after she announced on Wednesday that the ministry plans to move away from teachers being paid by bursars and have educators receive their salaries directly from the ministry. There are numerous bursar-paid institutions across Jamaica. Mrs. Williams was responding to the issue of timely payments of deductions for teachers while addressing delegates on the third and final day of the Jamaica Teachers Association's annual conference in Montego Bay, St. James. Although she did not give a timeline for the change, Mrs. Williams said the move would help to alleviate the issue of late or missed salary payments, which some teachers often experience. But this has not gone down well with the National Workers Union, which represents bursars. NWU General Secretary Granville Valentine told the news that the announcement by the minister is a devastating blow to his members.
You know, we are meeting with the minister and the permanent secretary and the team, and there are continuous dialogue. In fact, we are waiting meetings to finalize certain arrangements on behalf of the bursars. To hear this pronouncement this evening, it is devastating. Bursars are calling all over the island. There are bursars who are calling, crying tonight, saying, what will we do? Because they don't know their status, they don't know where they're going, they don't know what tomorrow brings. This sudden shocking news, principals around Jamaica were not told, the unions were not told, the bursars were not told. This is no way to treat our workers. It is gross disrespect and very unfortunate. This is something that could lead to serious unrest, and we are calling on the Prime Minister, no lower office than the Prime Minister, to intervene, because this one will not go down easily. It is a clear fact that the bursars has not caused the migration of teachers, and it is also a fact that most teachers are paid at bursar school on time. The problem lies with the Ministry of Education, wherein the schools that are paid by the Ministry of Education, many a times in 2-3 months, they haven't received their salary. This cannot be the way forward. Respect is a dual carriage, and we all are feeling totally disrespected by this public pronouncement. It must stop.
Flooding in Lucey again. The town of Lucey in Hanover was flooded for more than an hour Thursday, leaving motorists and pedestrians stranded. The waters stretched from the problematic Lucey West River to the Texaco gas station in the town. It is not clear if bamboo washed down along the Harvey River is the cause of the flooding. Last Tuesday, bamboo blocked the entrance of the Lucey West Bridge, which resulted in flooding of the town. A day later, State Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Homer Davis, announced that the government has authorized $3 million to undertake emergency work aimed at addressing the issue. The work, which started last week, is being carried out by the Hanover Municipal Corporation in collaboration with the National Works Agency. The scope of work includes the cleaning of drains, removal of bamboo at the Riley River and the Lucey East River bridges, along with the removal of bamboo from both rivers. The initiative will see the use of heavy equipment, dump trucks, and manual labor. Thursday afternoon's flooding resulted in entrepreneurially minded individuals charging between $500 and $700 to ferry pedestrians across the water using fishing boats. Among those stranded were 2 visitors from Vancouver, Canada, who appeared to be enjoying themselves in the muddy water. Motorist George McKellar told the news that he was stranded for 45 minutes. "For me car jam in a water too, so me know that me will have to go mechanic," he said. There were also reports of traffic being impacted by flooding on the Haddington Main Road as well as the Cousins Cove section of the Northern Coastal Highway. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.